Am I the antagonist for telling my boyfriend that I don't want his brother to keep living with us? I, a 25-year-old man, have been living with my boyfriend who is also 25 for 2 years. We have had no major problems living together until my boyfriend decided to let his twin brother move in with us. Apparently his brother got evicted and didn't want to go back living with their parents. So my boyfriend offered him to stay with us until he gets back on his feet. I wasn't thrilled with this idea, but my boyfriend assured me that his brother would only stay for a month just until he finds a job. Well, it's been over 3 months now, and not only is his brother still jobless, but living with him has become unbearable. He never pays for rent, utilities, or food. He doesn't clean his dishes or clothes, and he doesn't even make his own bed. To make matters worse, he brings random girls over for overnight stay, even in our shower. Recently, I found a used condom in the shower, and I know it wasn't mine or my boyfriend's. However, what really crossed the line was when he stole my credit card to pay for his dentist visit. He claimed that he had a severe toothache for weeks and couldn't wait any longer to get it treated. He also said that his brother's credit card didn't have enough money, so he borrowed mine, promising to pay me back in the future. But I highly doubt he will. I told my boyfriend that I can't continue living with his brother and we should evict him. Unfortunately, my boyfriend is hesitant because his brother is still struggling to find a job, though I doubt he's even trying. He feels responsible for his brother and doesn't want to see him homeless. Now here's where I may be in the wrong. I told my boyfriend that I don't care if his brother becomes homeless. His actions have been destructive, and he has been stealing from us for months. This led to a heated argument between us. I also informed my boyfriend that if he doesn't evict his brother, I will be the one to move out as soon as I find another place to rent. This startled him because I know he wouldn't be able to afford to support himself and his brother alone. He begged me not to leave and promised to give his brother 1 more month to figure things out before he starts the eviction process. However, I made it clear that I'm not willing to wait another month while my money gets stolen and I have to deal with such unpleasant living conditions. I told him he needs to decide now if he wants to live with me or with his brother. In the midst of all this, my boyfriend called me selfish and accused me of being abusive for trying to leave his own twin brother homeless. Ironically, he still had to sleep in the same bed as me despite his reluctance, as his brother had invited another random girl to stay in our living room bed for the night. I couldn't help but comment on this, which resulted in a shut the F up from him. So am I the asshole in this situation? You initially agreed to let your boyfriend's twin brother stay for a short period of time, but it has now been over 3 months, and the brother's behavior has become increasingly disrespectful and disruptive. In addition to not paying for rent, utilities, or food, he is also not cleaning up after himself and engaging in inappropriate behavior, such as inviting random girls to have sex in your living space. To make matters worse, he recently stole your credit card without your consent. You have expressed your concerns and discomfort with the situation to your boyfriend, but he seems reluctant to evict his brother, stating that he doesn't want to leave him homeless. While it is understandable that he wants to support his family, it is also important that he takes your feelings and concerns into consideration. It is not fair for you to continue enduring this situation, especially when your personal possessions and financial security have been compromised. You have expressed your intention to move out if the living conditions don't improve, which is a reasonable response. It is ultimately up to your boyfriend to decide how he wants to handle the situation, but it is important for you to prioritize your own well-being and establish boundaries. Am I the antagonist for telling my bridesmaids that they can't smoke at my wedding? I, a 23-year-old female, got married to the love of my life last Friday. It was a beautiful wedding. For some background information, I have asthma and grew up in a household where both of my parents smoked constantly. This resulted in frequent attacks, and it was a terrible experience. Luckily, only one of my friends smokes, but she makes sure she doesn't smell like it around me to prevent any discomfort. In fact, even my now husband quit smoking for my sake. Considering my limited options for bridesmaids, I selected 3 girls: my sister, my best friend, whom I'll refer to as Abby, and a good friend, whom I'll refer to as Jessica. Neither my sister nor Abby smoke, but Jessica does. However, I believed I could trust her as she had always been cautious around me. Now let's return to the main story. I arrived at the hotel feeling extremely excited, with butterflies in my stomach, much like the feeling of going on a first date with Jackson again. Of course, we had separate rooms to avoid seeing each other before the wedding. Since my room was a suite, I decided to invite my bridesmaids to join me. It turned out to be a terrible mistake. Jessica would leave cigarettes around the room to test if I could detect the smell. I picked them up and disposed of them. As I was getting ready, the stylists were doing my makeup and hair, while the photographer was taking pictures, just as I had always imagined. It's worth mentioning that I had instructed my bridesmaids to wear any kind of blue dress, since my theme was blue, gold, and white. First, Abby and my sister arrived, wondering where Jessica was. I then started coughing, and the hairstylist accidentally burned my neck due to my coughing fits. Just great. Jessica finally walked in, wearing a white dress and reeking of smoke, as if she had just come from a smoking convention. I confronted her, upset, and asked her why the hell she would wear that. She replied, "It's white, isn't that one of your colors for the theme?" I asked her to change, but she refused. For some reason, I didn't want to upset anyone or make my wedding look odd because I only had 2 bridesmaids. So I reluctantly allowed her to stay, but made it clear that we were no longer friends. It was then that I realized why I had been coughing so much, and it made me furious. I demanded that she stop smoking. She was livid with me, but seriously, how can someone do that to a person with asthma? It could genuinely be life-threatening. It could have killed me if I didn't have my inhaler on hand. Tears started welling up, but I knew I had to hold them back. If I let them flow, my makeup, which had taken the stylist an hour to do, would be ruined. So despite being upset, I gathered myself and went to the venue. I had an amazing time until Jessica decided she needed a smoke break. I told her it was okay, but to make sure she didn't smell like smoke when she returned. Of course, she came back smelling like smoke. I broke down in tears and implored her to stop, explaining that someday she might actually kill me. I didn't have my inhaler with me and I desperately needed help. She apologized, but it seemed insincere, which only intensified my husband's anger. My sister ran to my mom, who gave her my inhaler, and then my sister handed it to me. As someone with asthma, you have a right to take measures to protect your health and ensure that you can enjoy your own wedding without risking an asthma attack. It was clear to your bridesmaid Jessica that you have a severe reaction to smoke, and her deliberate actions to test whether you could smell cigarettes in the room and then refusing to change out of her white dress showed a lack of consideration and respect for your health. You were right to express your frustration and concern about her actions, and it is understandable that you broke down crying during such an important event. It is also commendable that your sister stepped in to help you when you needed your inhaler. It seems like Jessica's behavior throughout the day was not only thoughtless, but also insincere in her apology. Your husband's anger is justified, as he saw you in distress and witnessed the lack of empathy from Jessica. In conclusion, you did not do anything wrong in this situation, and were completely justified in reacting the way you did. Am I the antagonist for telling my husband he needs to spend more time with our sons and not his nephew? I, 45-year-old female, and my husband, 46-year-old male, have 2 sons. The older one is 21 years old and currently in college, working a part-time job on the side. The younger one is 16 years old and still in high school. My husband's brother also has 2 sons, aged 24 and 28. The older one is very nice and polite, but the younger one, let's call him Simon, has always been problematic as far as I can remember. He's a very picky eater, refuses to engage in a conversation unless it interests him, and tends to get fussy during family gatherings. He hardly addresses me and barely greets me when he comes over, either alone or with his brother. If I ask him personal questions, he easily shuts me down. However, Simon and my husband seem to have a good friendship and even talk on the phone once or twice a week. My husband's brother has been absent as a father due to working 2 jobs. Because of his availability and shared interests, Simon formed an attachment to my husband even as a child. When he was around 5 years old, Simon even jokingly said he wanted to marry my husband. While we saw it as a joke and moved past it, I always found the attachment somewhat odd. Both Simon and my husband share an interest in guns, hunting, video games, music, and even cars, my husband's main hobby these days. A few months ago, Simon wanted to go on a hunting trip with his father but got turned down, so my husband offered to take him instead. I suggested that he take our sons and Simon's brother to make it a family bonding experience. He agreed, but it seems it didn't go well. My older son and Simon's brother didn't enjoy it, and my younger son spent the whole time on his phone, complaining about the long distance and required walking at the hunting grounds. My husband informed me of this and said he wouldn't force anyone else to come if they didn't want to. However, since then, my husband and Simon spend a lot of time together. They go hiking every other Sunday morning, and Simon often comes over to help my husband with his car projects or play games while I'm at work. Simon only briefly greets me, if at all, and often neglects to greet his cousins. My younger son told me that he asked my husband for something, but my husband said he would do it later and then forgot about it. This upset me because I feel like my husband is neglecting our sons while prioritizing his nephew and always maintaining communication with him. Simon seems to be more like a son to my husband than our actual children, and it really bothers me. When I bring up my concerns to my husband, he claims I'm overreacting and that it's not a big deal. He argues that he has tried to spend time with our sons, but they don't show much interest in his hobbies. I told him that, as their father, he should show more interest in their activities, but he accuses me of being too pushy and overbearing. Each time I try to discuss this with him, he becomes annoyed. It is understandable that you feel neglected and upset that your husband seems to prioritize his nephew over your sons. It is important for a parent to give attention and show interest in their own children and their activities. It is reasonable for you to suggest that your husband include your sons and Simon's brother on the hunting trip to foster family bonding. However, it seems like your husband's attempt to include them did not go well, as they did not enjoy the experience. It is not fair to force them into activities they do not like. Your husband should make an effort to spend quality time with your sons without neglecting Simon. It is not fair for him to dismiss your concerns or get annoyed when you bring up the issue. Open communication is crucial in addressing these feelings of neglect and finding a solution that works for all parties involved. Am I the antagonist for trying to stop what I thought was a prank at my friend's wedding? My friend Ashley got married last night to her longtime partner Kevin. Kevin's best friend Frank is a bit of a prankster, but it's usually all in good fun. Ashley has shared that there are times when Frank goes a little too far with his pranks, but he had promised to behave for the wedding. I had agreed to help with Ashley's boundary-stomping family and keep an eye out for any pranks that Frank might pull. Even though we knew he said he'd be good, we know Frank. Ashley and Kevin are big football fans. At one point during the night, they wanted the wedding party to wear 49ers jerseys that they had purchased to take a few photos. Frank is also a football fan, but he is a diehard for the Chiefs. There has always been some banter between Ashley and Frank about this. In the beginning, Ashley said he was refusing to wear the jersey she bought. Eventually, he gave in and said it was just for 5 minutes, so no big deal. He kept joking that he would show up in a Chiefs jersey, and Ashley always responded seriously, saying, "Yeah, no, don't you dare." So I assumed that he wouldn't wear it. The time came for the wedding party to put on our jerseys over our dresses' suits. The wedding party went upstairs. As I was waiting with the other bridesmaids, I saw Frank come out of the bathroom wearing a Chiefs jersey. I asked him what he was doing. He smirked and said it was all good. I told him to go change. Again, he insisted that it was all good, and he had permission. Since Ashley had not told me anything, and knowing Frank's tendencies, I said no, she didn't. Why are you trying to cause problems on her wedding day? That's when Kevin came out of the room where he and Ashley were getting ready and asked what was going on. Frank said, "She doesn't believe me." Kevin seemed to realize something and said, "Oh yeah, we meant to tell you that Ashley agreed it was fine for him to wear the jersey. They have some cool poses planned." I apologized to Frank for the misunderstanding and moved on. I think the pictures will turn out great. After Kevin and Ashley left, I stayed behind to help clean up. Frank came up to me and called me a drama queen for making a big deal about the jersey. I told him I had no idea that Ashley had given him permission, and given his history of provoking people and pulling pranks, I thought it was a fair assumption. He said it was none of my business. I reminded him that I had been tasked with ensuring he didn't pull any pranks, which he knew. Still, he told me that I should have minded my own business. I haven't bothered Ashley and Kevin with this, and I have no plans to. However, it got around to some of our friends, and they're divided. Some say I was right given Frank's past behavior, while others say I was being controlling and dramatic. Am I the asshole? You were given the responsibility to look out for any pranks that Frank might pull, and considering his past behavior, it was reasonable for you to assume that he wasn't supposed to wear the Chiefs jersey. You were doing your job by trying to prevent any potential problems on Ashley's wedding day. Frank should have communicated with you and made it clear that Ashley had given him permission. He was dismissive of your role and then insulted you by calling you a drama queen. Overall, you were looking out for the bride's best interests and acted accordingly. Am I the antagonist? My friend won't stop asking me what size clothes I wear. I have a friend whom I am becoming increasingly cautious of. I've been continuously evaluating our friendship and have come to realize that she might be using me. I'm not even sure if she is truly a genuine friend for several reasons, including her befriending people who have harmed me in the past. Lately, we have been working together, and we usually wear uniforms. I was extremely ill for almost a year and incredibly overworked. As a result, I unintentionally lost about 20 pounds. I've always been very fit and dedicated to the gym, so I have muscle. Many people may have assumed that I intentionally tried to lose weight, but I didn't. At work, I was asked repeatedly how I achieved it. When I explained that I had health issues, most people backed off. However, my friend continued to discuss my body every time we worked together. Initially, it didn't bother me since I often talked to people at the gym about workouts and aesthetics. But it has become an ongoing thing with her. She asks me what I eat for lunch, what I generally eat, and seems surprised when I indulge in treats like donuts or cookies. She constantly asks about my body. Recently, I've been putting in a lot of effort at the gym to gain some healthy weight. I didn't feel like myself being so thin, so I gained around 10 pounds. As a short 5'3" female, I currently weigh about 140 pounds, with 19% body fat, and usually wear a small size in most clothing. More than anything, I just want to be healthy and not struggle with health issues, especially at a young age. What bothers me the most is that she keeps asking me what size uniform I wear. I wish I were joking, but she asks me every time we work together. When I tell her my size, she always responds with, "Oh, well, I can't wear that size. It doesn't look good on me." I constantly reassure her that she looks beautiful, and I genuinely believe that all women are beautiful regardless of their size. Moreover, we are different ages, and she has gone through life experiences like having kids, whereas I haven't. Therefore, our bodies are naturally different. Yesterday, she asked me again what size I wear. She has asked multiple times before. I mentioned that I had gained some weight, so my pants were slightly tighter than usual, but I still wear a small size. She fell silent and later asked again what size I wear. At this point, I was annoyed. Who cares about my clothing size? I asked her why she kept asking and if she didn't believe me. In response, she said, "I know I should probably lose some weight, but I didn't think it would bother you if I asked about your size." She seemed offended and shut down the conversation. I really don't understand why she constantly asks about my clothing size whenever we work together, but it's becoming quite irritating. Am I wrong for feeling this way? I believe clothing size is a personal matter, and I would never have the audacity to ask someone about their size. It does not seem like you are the asshole in this situation. Your friend continuously asking about your body and clothing size, even after you have expressed your discomfort, is inappropriate and invasive. It is understandable that you find her behavior annoying and disrespectful. However, it is important to address the issue with your friend in a calm and non-confrontational manner. Communicate to her that her constant inquiries about your body and clothing size make you uncomfortable, and reiterate that everyone's body is different and there is no need for comparison or judgment. Encourage open dialogue and understanding between the two of you. If your friend continues to exhibit this behavior despite your conversation, it may be worth reevaluating the friendship and considering whether it is healthy and beneficial for you. Would I be the antagonist if I spoke to my friend about her alcohol consumption because she killed my fish? I, 24-year-old female, and my best friend of 10 years, 23-year-old female, G, have been friends since high school. Throughout our years being friends, I have found that she is the sweetest, kindest, and genuinely the funniest person ever. In simple terms, I love her. The thing is, I don't love her drinking. A few weeks ago, we went to a local bar near our homes. We had fun, danced, had a few drinks, and decided to continue the fun and have a conversation at my place. For context, I have several fish tanks in my house, with a variety of fish and reptiles. I have tanks for my bettas, a large 29-gallon tank housing freshwater fish like mollies, a dojo loach, albino cory cats, honey-lipped gouramis, and skirted tetras, as well as other large tanks. Once we started drinking at my house, things quickly went downhill. Firstly, she went into my drawer where I kept certain items and embarrassingly showed her boyfriend a whip. I told her not to snoop in that drawer and took it away. Secondly, when I brought out my high-dose edibles to show her, she quickly consumed one. Her boyfriend and I urgently advised her to spit it out, but she stubbornly refused and eventually spat it onto the floor, where one of my dogs tried to eat it. Thirdly, while putting things away in my bedroom, I heard her shout from the living room, "Hey, do your fish want a drink?" I rushed back and yelled at her not to put any alcohol in my tanks. Her boyfriend heard my shouting as he was leaving my bathroom, and he promptly placed her on the couch. After that, I told them it was time to leave and packed up. When I woke up the next morning, I discovered that all the fish in my 29-gallon tank had died. Even when I moved them out of the tank and into a bucket with water from one of my other tanks, using an air pump and heater, they still died. I was devastated because those fish were not just my pets, but also part of my meditation practice, as observing them in their tanks helped soothe my PTSD. She sincerely apologized and offered to reimburse me for the cost of the new fish. However, she claims not to remember pouring alcohol into my fish tank in the first place. She insists that she did it because her boyfriend saw her, and she assumes my fish died as a result. She remembers the other two events, but not the fish incident. I am genuinely concerned about her excessive alcohol consumption, not because she killed my fish, but because she has no recollection of her actions. I'm conflicted because when I discussed this with friends, their opinions were split. Some said it's just fish, while others believed she had crossed a boundary. So would I be the asshole if I talked to her about her alcohol consumption? No, you would not be the asshole if you talked to your friend about her alcohol consumption. It is clear that her drinking has led to destructive behavior and that it is causing concern for you. The incident with your fish tank is not just about the fish, but also about her overall actions while under the influence, including rummaging in your personal belongings and endangering your pets. It is reasonable for you to address this with her and express your worry about her consumption. Your intention should be to help and support her, rather than to criticize or judge her. It may be helpful to suggest that she seeks professional help if her drinking continues to be a problem. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.